Hey guys, so we are here with the Rings of Power, which apparently had its season finale. A lot of things happened that people were already pretty aware that were going to happen. The reveal of who Sauron was. People were like, "Oh, Halbrand seems pretty sus." I think he's Sauron. Well, so here we are. We're with Halbrand and Galadriel, and she's asking him, "Is like, who are you really?" And he says like one of the most cliched things, like, I've been known by many names. One, Sauron can change his form. That's how he made the rings in the first place. He went under the guise of Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, and he convinced the elves to make the rings for him. He showed them how to craft them, and so what they thought they were just crafting rings, the technique he was giving them actually bound them to his will. Um, That's why the men were really the only ones to fall. The elves were like, yeah, I kind of pick up what this guy's putting down, and I don't like it. Um, so, but once again, we have a lore change. So Anatar, or Sauron, is the one who suggests making all these rings. Here we have Galadriel suggesting to make the three rings for the elves. Remember when that happened in the book? So people don't understand why the fans are getting pissed off. When Amazon first came out and said that they were making a Lord of the Rings uh, series, people were like, great, they're going to fuck with the lore. Then Amazon came out and said, yeah, we're going to make some new characters, but it's not going to mess with the lore in any way. We're creating new characters because there weren't a whole lot of. I think they said something about a lot of characters during the Second Age, which is kind of bullshit. And I did a video about it when it first announced, like last year or some shit like that. But they said, yeah, we're gonna make new characters, but the characters themselves are not gonna interfere with the lore. We're still telling the story of the Second Age, of Sauron's rise to power. They flat out said they're not gonna fuck with the lore, and here they are once again fucking with the lore. Now, do they understand why people are fucking pissed off? Amazon flat out says we're not going to fuck with the lore. We're just going to create new characters. They're not going to mess up with the story any kind of way. We're still going to respect Tolkien's work. So instead of Sauron making the rings for the elves, suggesting it, Galadriel here is the one who suggests making the three rings for the elves. Galadriel, who's also married at this point in the Second Age, isn't fucking married because she's a strong, powerful woman and she don't need no man. Even though her not being married and having a child fucks with the lore in the long run. It's just, and then I'm going to show you a picture, and people are trying to justify and like, oh, this and that, and we'll get to that. But I'm gonna read some stuff from the WoW wiki, or the WoW wiki, the Lord of the Rings wiki. I'm so used to saying WoW wiki, the Lord of the Rings wiki, just so you get information, and I don't really miss anything. Now I don't know how complete it is, but these are written by fans and everything. So hang on. All right, so we're at the Lord of the Rings wiki, Second Age. So it just says that he stays hidden for a couple for 5 centuries, and Second Age, about 1,000, that we can establish himself in Mordor, Barad-dûr near Mount Doom. Orcs, trolls start to congregate. Although Sauron knew that men were easier to sway, he sought to bring the elves into his service as they were far more powerful. By 1500 of the Second Age, Sauron put on a fair visage and called himself Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. He befriended the elf smiths, including Celebrimbor. It's those fucking names, man. Greatest of the craftsmen, as he was descended from Feanor, and counseled them in the arts and magic. Not all the elves trusted him, particularly Lady Galadriel, Elrond, and Gil-galad, High King of Noldor. To the elves who listened, Sauron gave knowledge and encouragement into forging the rings of power. While he forged the One Ring in secret, to rule the Elvish rings. Upon that ring, Sauron wrote, the Black Speech. The phrase we all know: the One Ring to rule them all. However, as soon as Sauron put on the ring, the elves sensed his treachery and removed their rings and hid them. Yeah, like I said, they realized what he was doing, and they're like, no. But he gave them to 7 for the dwarf lords, 9 to the kings of men. Now keep that in mind, kings of men, meaning kings, and they were men. And also keep that in. As Sauron predicted, the 9 men were all corrupted by their rings and became the Nazgul, Sauron's deadliest and cruelest servants. Now, I don't think, from what a lot of people are saying, the Nazgul apparently didn't really exist before Sauron, and they were the kings of men. When Frodo puts on the ring at Weathertop, and he sees them for what they really are, they're all men. You can tell they're kings, they've all got crowns and whatnot, but they're men. But once again, we have them possibly fucking with the lore. Apparently, Nazgul are women now. Now, this is how they look when Frodo puts on the ring. This is how this is like the unseen world kind of thing. So this is how they appear to be when he puts them on. When you see him at Weathertop and he puts the ring on, when they're all coming towards him, that's when he gets stabbed with the Morgul blade. This is how they appear, like these white, ethereal. They're very kind of like goofy looking because it's supposed to be like corrupted, but they're still like neither living or dead. So they've got like rotting faces, as you can see with Predator over here. Got the fucking Predator right there. But this is what they look like. So either we're seeing into the unseen world, or for some reason the Nazgul are considering that Halbrand was just revealed to be Sauron. Hello. Potato Chan. How are you doing, sweet pea? How are you doing, my sweet pea? I don't understand. You don't like it because there are women Nazgul? The only Nazgul we know of are the kings of men. The kings were given these rings. There were no women involved with this. So why all of a sudden do we have female Nazgul when, one, the rings for men haven't been made at this point, and two, they were given to kings? Once again, we're not gonna fuck with the lore. We're just gonna make some new characters, and all the Tolkien lore will be the same. Just don't worry about it. Like, then she tries to kill him, and then she tries to convince he tries to convince her to come with her or come with him. And then there's this shot of them both. We got Sauron right there. She's just an angry Karen. And it almost makes it seem like, and here's her suggesting to make the rings, and then Elrond's like, okay, and there they are making the rings, and there you have the rings. Because remember when that happened in the book, where Galadriel was like, oh, we need the rings of power, let's forge them. What part of don't fuck with the lore do these people not get? And they wonder why people are pissed off. The people who don't give a shit about Lord of the Rings and they're watching it just because, oh yeah, this is great, I don't see a problem with this. But then you have the actual fans, which that's who it should be made for. And you're just fucking up the lore. Galadriel, despite having a husband at this point, has no fucking husband or child, which completely fucks up the lore in the long run. If you know, somehow there's fucking female Nazgul, even though the Nazgul haven't really been made into existence yet because the rings haven't been created yet, which means the kings of men haven't fallen to the power of the ring. Galadriel is not the one who suggests making rings. It's Sauron who suggests making the rings under the guise of Anatar, Lord of Gifts. He's the one who teaches them how to forge these things. The elves were wise enough because once he puts on the ring, they feel what's happening, and they're like, okay, we're not, no, fuck this. But here, like again, we have Galadriel suggesting making it. There's just, it's one thing after another with these people, and whenever you call this shit out, you're like, oh, you fucking incel, you fucking purist. Well, considering that Amazon themselves said they wouldn't be fucking with the lore, that change the characters that they're going to introduce isn't, they're not changing the lore in any kind of way. It seems like once again, and this is not the first time that Hollywood's done this. Hollywood's done this several times. Like, oh yeah, we're not going to change the lore. But then they fucking do. And then when the fans get pissed off, they just throw out the phobes, isms, incels, this and that, instead of accepting the fact that they fucking lied to the fucking fans. And then now next season, when after all the shit has gone down, because there's going to be a fucking next season, when less and less people watch, you bunch of fucking racist incels, misogynistic, fucking right-wing incels. Well, maybe you shouldn't have lied to the fucking fans. You said you were going to create like a love letter to Tolkien, where you're going to respect his works, that you're going to introduce new characters that wouldn't fuck with the lore in any kind of way, and you were going to tell the story of the Second Age. It would be sped up, obviously, in time-wise, even though they're going to have all these events in a shorter time because TV. But you were going to respect the lore set out by, put out by J.R.R. Tolkien, and you would introduce new characters that wouldn't fuck with the lore, and you were going to tell the story of the Second Age leading up to the rise of Sauron and all that great stuff. And here you are fucking with the lore. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, several fucking times. Important key parts of the lore you are fucking with. Again, Galadriel not having a husband and child really fucks things up. So this is why it's fucked up. So this is the daughter of Celeborn and Galadriel, wife of Elrond. She doesn't exist apparently, which means no Arwen. But they're totally not going to fuck with the story, guys. This person is supposed to already exist at this point. This is the daughter of Galadriel. Nope, doesn't exist apparently. No whisper of her, no mention of her. So without her, there's no Arwen. So even if they never planned on doing the Third Age, story-wise, lore-wise, they just fucked up the entire Third Age. There's no Arwen. Because again, wife of Elrond. Mother, Arwen. So them changing this fucking lore, they're fucking with it. But They totally said, you know, oh, we're gonna respect the lore, we're gonna respect the characters in the land, and the story's created by J.R.R. Tolkien. You don't have to worry about it. You fucking incel. You worried about us fucking up the story? Gee, I wonder why people are worried. So, no daughter of Galadriel. Female fucking Nazgul somehow. Galadriel suggesting making the 3 rings for the elves, despite the fact that Sauron was the one who did that. And apparently the fucking old homeless looking dude is apparently Gandalf. I don't know. He says a line, always follow your nose, is exactly the same thing he fucking said to, was it Pippin when they were in the Mines of Moria? He's like, when in doubt, always follow your nose. Gandalf apparently wasn't even around the Second Age. You had the 2, the blue wizards, but Gandalf really wasn't around that point, so... But can't imagine why people are getting pissed off. How about stop fucking with the lore and the stories that people care? If you want to fuck with the lore, make your own IP. You know, it doesn't have to be called Lord of the Rings. It could be based on Lord of the Rings. It could be similar to Lord of the Rings. But don't fucking call it Lord of the Rings if you're going to completely fuck up the lore of it. This isn't a love letter. This is completely fan fiction. Especially with the dynamics now between Halbrand and fucking Galadriel, where they're like this power couple and shit like that. Just, she's supposed to be married with a child already. And that child has a child who's important to the story. Nope. None of that happens. Stop fucking with the lore, and people won't get on your ass. And when people are criticizing your works because you're fucking with the lore, stop calling them phobes and is and isms. Stop trying to put it on something else like, oh, you just hate women. You just hate black people. You just hate this. No, we hate the fact that you're taking stories that are how old now and fucking them up just to fit your narrative. That's what we hate. Stop fucking with stories. Simple as that. Anyways, can't imagine why people are pissed off. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.